Hi there, and welcome again to the Cory Doctorow podcast. My wife turned 40 this weekend. I'm turning 40 this summer, so for a brief moment, I'm dating an older woman, or married to an older woman, I should say. And we had a very good time. We went out and saw friends and went to a lovely dress-up evening and stayed in a nice hotel for a couple of nights and just generally had a very good time. And then yesterday I was off in Hay-on-Wye in Wales for the How the Light Gets In festival, where I did a couple of talks. One was an interview and the other one was a kind of a debate about the future of the web with Evgeny Morozov and some others. I'm not sure if they're going to put those online. I sure hope they do, because they were pretty productive. And I'm just gearing up now to go to Brussels for the TEDx Kid event that's taking place tomorrow, and I'll just be nipping in and out of Brussels for the day, and then right away heading to Toronto the day after, seeing my family for a day, doing a quick talk at the Metro Reference Library, and then going to New York for a Personal Democracy Forum. Got a few days off in New York with my wife, and then we go back to Toronto, see family, my wife and daughter go home, and I go off to Pittsburgh for a little semi-secret conclave, and I'm going to be trying to schedule some sort of bookstore event while I'm there as well. So I hope that those of you in Pittsburgh will, I'll get a chance to see you and say hello. Charlie Stross and I continue to work hammer and tongs on Rapture of the Nerds, the novel that we're writing together. We're writing the third installment of this, the Hugh Rogers trilogy. That'll be published in one set of covers by Tor Books at some point. So all going very well. And the other thing that's going remarkably well is my back pain. Those of you who paid attention to me pissing and moaning about my musculoskeletal problems over the years know that I had hip surgery in January, and that I've been going through about 20 hours a week of rehab every week. And just last week, things started to change in the way that my back and hips and gait interrelated. And I've had some small but hopeful moments of reduced pain in my back, which suggests that at some point in the near future, my back might feel better, which would be just tremendous. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to going to sleep without painkillers, because they sure make me groggy and stupid in the night when my daughter gets up, and continue to make me a little groggy and stupid in the morning. I'm going to read to you today a little more of Knights of the Rainbow Table, and in fact, I'm going to try and put 3 installments in the can. That would be to account for the 3 weeks when I'm overseas. If not, there may be a missed podcast coming up, and I hope you'll forgive me for that and tune in for the exciting conclusion, because I reckon there's about 3 installments left worth of reading this. So without further ado, here's some more of Knights of the Rainbow Table. Nerat Padanatasai did all these interviews and articles and TV appearances, but he never once accused us of wrongdoing. He went to great pains to say that we were doing good. Tracy skewered me on a very Tracy-ish glare. He went to great pains to say that we believed we were doing good. He also took pains to say we were lawless vigilantes who had committed thousands of felonies. Normally, I would have backed down to Tracy. We both did most of the time. But ever since I stopped eating, I found new wellsprings of willpower, new bravery I'd never had before. Muskowski said that we needed an expert who'd testify that we acted without malicious intent. I think Nerat Padanatsai's got integrity. He'll say that if we ask him. And who could ask for a better expert? I mean, really? Tristan nodded. I think he's right. Nerat Padanatsai would be great. I like him. Tracy tried the eye laser thing on Tristan, but the beams just bounced off his impenetrable shield of weird. You like him? He did really good work tracking us down. It can't have been easy. For all he knew, we were bad guys going around messing everything up. I think he could have been a knight if we'd asked him early enough. You mean, before he got us arrested? Yeah, Sir Nerat Padanatsai. Tracy readied another volley, but I put up my hand. Look, forget the cut and thrust and think, Tracy. Whatever else Nerat Padanatsai is, he's not a liar or a fool. He may not understand or like what we did, but if someone puts him on the stand and asks if we were doing anything malicious, he'll tell the truth. She balled up her hands into fists and took 2 deep breaths. Then she opened her hands. Fine, that's no stupider than any of the other ideas we've had so far, and smarter than most of them. She hit the intercom button on the phone on the boardroom table. Can you please tell Mr. Muskowski that we'd like to speak to him? The law firm had given us the use of one of its small boardrooms because we couldn't agree on any other meeting place. I couldn't abide restaurants, obviously. Public places gave Tristan the heebie-jeebies, and Tracy couldn't stand to be in either of our apartments. They smell like unwashed boys, she'd said with characteristic candor, and she wouldn't have us at her place. You smell like unwashed boy. Muskowski listened patiently as we explained our thinking to him. You can't call the prosecution's main witness in your defense, he said. Is that a law? Tristan asked. It's not a law, it's just common sense. Oh, that, Tristan said. We don't really do that. At last, something we all agree on, Tracy said. Yeah, I said. Common sense is something that happens to other people. We're more about, higher purposes and all that. And look how far that's got you, Muskowski snapped. But I could tell that he was weakening. He'd done some showy, flashy things in his long and storied career, and he clearly saw that this was going to be one for the scrapbook, assuming he could pull it off. All that remained was to call on Narat Patanasai. Of course we knew where he lived. If Tristan hadn't found his house, none of this would have happened, and we could have gone on breaking the law forever, or at least until someone else figured it out. Narat Patanasai wasn't the only smart person on the internet. You knock, Tristan said. He didn't like touching other people's doors. Plus, we were all a little worried that Narat Patanasai would answer the door with a shotgun or a crossbow or one of those huge two-handed Klingon disemboweling swords. Tracy did her decisive thing and made a fist, but I was already rapping on the door, tapping into that reserve of strength I'd found when most of my body melted away. He answered the door in bare feet and jeans, his hair wet from the shower. He was wearing a t-shirt advertising an elephant board game called Elefanten Parada, which I happened to know that Tristan worshipped. We played it a few times with Tracy, and even she had to admit it was pretty engrossing and clever bit of design, plus the wooden elephant tokens were really beautiful. That is such a great game, Tristan said without preamble. Nice to see you too, Narat Patanasai said. He was Thai, and a little short by American standards, about Tracy's height. He had friendly eyes and one of those faces that looked like it would seem very young until it suddenly seemed very old. You're not here to beat me up or anything, right? Tracy made a rude noise. Tristan asked him where he got his shirt. I held up my hands with their matchstick fingers and said, We come in peace. You better come in then, he said. It was a nice place, but not crazy nice, the home of a moderately well-off tech freelancer in San Francisco. There were framed photos of vintage computers in the hallway and a $5,000 coffee machine that looked like a brass Dalek in the kitchen. I know exactly what it cost because I priced them myself just about every time I came into a little money, but it was never enough. He made us espressos, grinding the beans in a heavy, noisy burr grinder that looked like it had been to the wars. I brought it to Burning Man, he said. Getting the playa dust out meant totally disassembling it, and then I lost a part of the housing for a while and just used duct tape until I found it at the back of the cupboard. But it's a great machine. The espresso was black as licorice, and it sported a velvety crema that was sweet and bitter at once and everything I imagined that particular espresso machine would be if I could afford it. I was suddenly and immensely jealous of Narat Patanasai. We'd been off doing good deeds for years while he worked the private sector and pulled down enough money to buy really top-notch coffee gadgets. My life sucked. It was about to get worse. Can I use your toilet? I said. Narat Patanasai must have seen the alarm on my face because he almost sprinted up the stairs, me on his heels. I barely got through the door before the coffee came back up again, landing in the toilet bowl with a spatter. I'd had enough practice at puking that I hardly made any sound. Afterwards, I rinsed out my mouth with water from the faucet and dried my hands on a damp towel that hung from the shower rod. The bath mat was damp too. I saw that he used the same shampoo that I used, a Peppermint Hippie brand that was certified to be organic, fair trade, phosphate-free, not tested on animals, and produced by a unionized workforce. I liked it because it smelled nice. When I came back to the kitchen, Tracy looked at me with a mix of disgust and pity. Tristan was geeking out over a poster printed with a million-digit prime in very small type. Narat Patanasai asked if I was okay. Yeah, I said, it's fine. Just a thing. Tracy said, he can't eat anymore. Every time he tries, whoosh, up it comes. Have you been to the doctor? I wish Tracy hadn't said anything. I hated explaining this. I've had a bunch of tests. Everyone's pretty convinced that it's stress-related. He's crazy, Tracy said. Thanks, Tracy. She rolled her eyes. It's not like he couldn't figure that out for himself. So, are you going to do it, Narat Patanasai? You already asked him, I said? Well, you were in the John calling Europe on the porcelain telephone, yeah. I turned to Narat Patanasai. So? Look, he said, I don't know. To tell the truth, I feel pretty bad about this. I mean, you guys... Tracy cleared her throat loudly. You folks seem like nice people. Weird, but nice. And I'm sorry about your, health thing. But look at it from my perspective. From what I could tell, you guys had been running around, breaking into every damn kind of system there was, from home routers to big websites, installing arbitrary code. From what I could tell, you were a 3-person crime wave. I wanted to keep people safe. But that's all we were doing, Tristan said, a petulant note in his voice. Yeah, I figured that out when I checked the firmware update you stuck on my router and saw that you've been trying to help out. But it's creepy. You understand, right? What gives you the right to go around breaking into people's systems, even if you're just fixing them? What if you patched something and broke something in the process? What if you took some hospital's life support system offline when you updated its router? Oh, I usually mapped out the whole network and checked the patch level of everything inside it before I updated anything, Tracy said. So you mitigated the harm for breaking into people's systems by breaking into more systems? Nice one. We had a code, I said, heading off Tracy before she could get into an epic flame war in Narat Patanasai's kitchen. A code, he said. A chivalric code. Great. You're LARPers. He drew himself up and then made a leg and bowed low over it. Prithee, good knight, do telleth me of yon chivalric code, that I mightest come to a full understanding of thine good deeds. Tristan laughed, an unexpected sound. Dude, that's terrible medieval dialogue. Yon chivalric code? Telleth? He was being sarcastic, Tracy said. Tristan's eyes sparkled. So was I, he said, and I suddenly remembered that in addition to being an otherworldly pain in the ass, Tristan Erko was one of the smartest people I'd ever known. It was easy to forget. Some smart people are very stupid. Just look at me. Look, I said, I know it sounds stupid, but look, it's no more stupid than any other law, rule, or code you've ever heard of. It's just a social contract. We developed a great power, so we took responsibility for it. Spider-Man, he said. That doesn't make it any less valid, I said. What is it that stops you breaking into your neighbors' houses? I see you got a sweet set of lockpicks on your keyring over there. I noticed it when we first came into the kitchen. They looked like they'd been handmade and well finished, not a burr or a rough spot on them, and they were worn smooth from lots of handling. Those Yale locks your neighbors use, you could go through them like a knife through butter. You work from home, most of them are out during the day, so when you run out of sugar or need a bit of milk, why don't you just let yourself into the neighbor's kitchen, help yourself, and replace it when you get back? What's the harm? It's wrong, he said. It's an invasion of their privacy. I might scare someone. I'd hate it if someone did it to me. And it's illegal, Tracy said. That too, he said. You notice how the law was the last thing on your list? How you left it off your list until Tracy reminded you? The law isn't what keeps us in check. Social codes, voluntary and largely unspoken, are what keep us from cutting up our neighbors, taking their things, punching them when they cut us off on the freeway. But social codes take time. They don't automatically appear as soon as new technologies arrive. In the heat of the moment, sitting there with the power your neighbors don't have, asking yourself whether using these new powers is ethical or unethical, well, it's pretty much guaranteed that you're going to choose the most self-serving, easy rationalization you can sneak past your own flinch reaction. Reading your neighbor's email isn't like opening their mail or holding a glass to their door because, well, their Wi-Fi is in your living room, so it's like they're dangling their email on a clothesline at eye height in front of your sofa. But we didn't try to formulate moral codes on the fly when temptation was before us. We sat down and coldly, rationally decided what we would do in the future. We did it when we were comfortable and relaxed. We made an agreement, and we stuck to it. And what was this ethical code, Narat Patanasai said? First, to use our cluster only to detect vulnerable systems and machines. Second, to bring those systems into less vulnerable states. Third, to retain no credentials that would allow us to regain access to the systems once they'd been improved. Fourth, to work only in the service of improving systems and to do nothing that wasn't part of that goal. Narat Patanasai opened his mouth, then closed it, and visibly thought about what I'd said. He drummed his fingers. Okay, he said, that's not bad. But man, there's a lot of wiggle room in there. There's a large amount of stuff that you could pry into on the way to making sure that something is secure. We rattled doorknobs to make sure that they were locked, and when we found unlocked ones, we locked them, I said. Okay, but did you try the windows and the chimneys too? Did you snip the burglar alarm wires to see if it could be shut off with a pair of pliers? There's no security in obscurity, I said. We tried to fix every vulnerability we could imagine, because bad guys would try to attack every vulnerability they could imagine. Why should we do any less? Is that the same as saying there aren't any loopholes in your little chivalric code? I shrugged. No, it's not an algorithm. It's a heuristic. It's meant to be interpreted by good people who want to do good and are of good will and good faith. Goodness gracious, he said. I shrugged again. It comes down to this. You saw the work we did. Now, either we spent most of our time going around making the world a safer, more secure place, or that was all an elaborate cover for some kind of elite hacksaw thing where we were really pwning all these boxes to rip people off and spy on them. Those are the only two possibilities? What about the possibility that you were imperfectly chivalric? Maybe you had this code that said that you'd stay on the up and up while you were spelunking through private, sensitive systems, and maybe also you sometimes slipped up and got a peek at people's secrets and private lives and looked a little longer than you could possibly justify. Whatever is the opposite of a poker face, that's what I have. Of course I had. I wasn't proud of it, and I hadn't done anything with it, but when you discover that someone sweet and lovable is privately trash-talking a sainted mother or having cyber sex with life insurance salesmen in Norway, it's impossible not to look, like a car crash. Aha, he said. Never voluntarily, never for long, and never to anyone's detriment. You sound like you practiced that. He was really, really smart, in that annoying way of people who notice exactly the thing that you hope that they won't notice. I felt the shame burn in the tips of my ears. You've got me, but we never set out to be anything except a force for good. Every vigilante could say the same thing. There it was, the V word, the one we avoided even amongst ourselves. Vigilantes go after bad guys. We helped innocent people defend themselves. We never strung anyone up. No matter how guilty they were, Tracy said. It's a fine distinction. But it's a distinctive one, I said. He nodded thoughtfully. Tracy and Tristan stared at me with a mixture of fear and surprise. I was once the persuader of our little group, but I hadn't been doing much talking lately. What the hell, Nirat Patanasai said. I suppose it is at that. Yeah, fine. You've got yourself a witness for the defense. But I'm going to tell the truth, the whole truth, and so forth, even the embarrassing parts. You seem like essentially nice people, and I can't really say that I believe my tax dollars should be spent on imprisoning you. I managed some dry toast and smoothie with bodybuilder powder that night, which was a banquet by my standards. All right then, talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Cory Doctorow podcast, licensed under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike US 3.0, or as Woody Guthrie put it in another context, this song is copyrighted in the U.S. under seal of copyright 154085 for a period of 28 years, and anyone caught singing it without our permission will be a mighty good friend of ourn, because we don't give a darn. Publish it, write it, sing it, swing to it, yodel it, we wrote it, that's all we wanted to do. Many thanks to John Taylor Williams for mastering. That's Ryneck Studio, WRYNECK Studio @gmail.com. John Taylor Williams is a full-time self-employed audio engineer, producer, composer, and sound designer. In his free time, he makes beer, jewelry, odd musical instruments, and furniture. He likes to meditate, to read, and to cook. Talk to you next week.